Hi everyone, I'm back and it's quite soon. I can't promise that it will always be that way, but uh, I will try my best. I just had a few things I want to share with you. I've got one or two finished items, and I thought it was just a good day to make a short episode because it's quiet here. Nobody making any noises in the kitchen this time. Nobody around to make any noises in the kitchen. So I just want to share a few of my projects with you. Thank you so much. I got some lovely comments on my uh, previous episode that's been more than a year from the last one. Some encouragement, and it really does help a lot. And you are uh, correct in that, in the sense that it doesn't matter how many views I get. The people that do want to watch and do find that they can take something from what I have to say and maybe use it in their next projects. Even if it's only a few people, that's fine. And it's a way for me to journal what I'm making and how I do it. So I think everybody knows me by now, Adela, and I live in Pretoria in South Africa. And this is where I'm actually in the room that is my craft room, and also where I stash all my yarn, and also unfortunately where my treadmill is, in that corner there. So I'll try and hide it so that you don't see that part. But it's very difficult to have your treadmill in your craft room because uh, on the way to the craft room, I sometimes get distracted. And that's just the way it is. So let's get started. Today, I've unfortunately no crocheting again, only knitting and a little bit of weaving. But I promise you, I do crochet. I do still crochet, and I will share projects that I'm busy with. They are just languishing at the moment because our weight, it's mostly scrap projects. There's one project that I can finish, that's actually in that little basket there. But just to get around to everything, that's to find the time to to get around to give all your projects some love. That's, I think, a problem that everyone understands. So I want to share first what I'm wearing. I finished this very recently. It's my Comfort Fake Cardi. It's a pattern by Andrea Mowry. And the original pattern was also in this colors. I'm not sure if it will be able, it's in my, and it's lots of scratches everywhere. But the original colors always appeal to me. And I think that's why when I saw this colors from, she was Bar Yarns, she's now Indie Bell Fibers. When I saw that the color, I bought this on in different shopping sprees, online shopping sprees, and just held them together for about 2 years before I came around to knit the Comfort Fake Cardi. And what prompted me finally was that the grocery girls had a knit along. I think it's still running in the rivalry group and also on Instagram. I think it's I'm not sure what the hashtag is, but you can find it in the rivalry group. I think the knit along is still running up to August, I think. And that prompted me to finally take up this yarn and knit the pattern. And I'm so happy with the results that I got. It's a very comfortable cardigan, and the yarn is just perfect. It's a 3-ply DK yarn. It's perfect for our weather. And did I do any modifications? For the because the sleeves in the pattern is quite tight fitting, I didn't do there's 2 sections in the raglan increases. I didn't do the second section of the increases. I just continued with the first section that gives you more stitches on the arm, on the sleeve, as well as on the body. And I just continued until I got the length that I needed. And luckily, I then had enough stitches for the sleeves. And what I always do is when you put your sleeve stitches on hold, and then you cast on a few stitches underneath the arm when you start knitting the body, I always cast on a few stitches extra than what the pattern suggests for my size, just to give me also maybe a little bit more room around the body, as well as a little bit more room around the sleeve. And then I also did the 2 extra stitches when I picked up stitches for the sleeve, and then decreased them, and just do gradual decreases for the sleeve. I just love this light color that it ended with. I just had, actually this is 2 batches of the same gray, but I bought them separately, but they work perfectly for some fading. So I only had this color and a gray that had 2 different batches, and it worked out perfectly. And for the garter band, it's got a lot of short rows. You are supposed to start with this top darker color for the garter band, but I started with a lighter color. I just wanted something different. I think it worked out well. I like the different colors here, and I just liked I like to have the darker color at the edge of the garter band. And I did the body with a 4mm needle, and then the garter band I did with 3.5, just because I was a little bit afraid, because garter stitch has got a lot more stretch in it. I just wanted um, uh, maybe to give the cardigan a little bit more structure. So I did it with a 3.5, and then I like to do the Russian bind off. I don't know if you can see, but it's a very neat bind off to do. And apparently there's different ways of doing the Russian bind off. I saw a video by Very Pink Knits, and that's much different from the one that I saw and that I use. So I'm not sure which is the correct one. But you knit 1 stitch, and then you put it back on your left needle, and then you go through your right needle purlwise through the stitch that you've knitted, that you've put back on your left needle. You go through that purlwise, and then you knit the next stitch on your left needle and pull it through the stitch that you have already knitted. So it's best to go and look at some videos for that. Try different ways of doing it. Try the different, apparently there's different ways of doing the Russian bind off. So try them and see which one works for you. But it does give you stretch, but still with structure. And for the garter cuff here, I also used the 3.5 instead of the 3.75 suggested in the pattern. And then I also went down to a 3.25 just to make it a little bit narrower. And I also decreased more stitches in the cuff to make it a little bit narrower, because I didn't want it to be too tight around here. And the cuff is quite long. So I didn't want it tighter here, so I decreased, I think, 4 stitches in the cuff as well. That's not in the pattern. And I tried to do more rows in the garter band to give me a little bit more width here. And so I think there's 4 sections of short rows for the collar, yeah, to give you some more fabric around your neck. That's very nice and cozy. I did 3.5 sections of the short rows, because I did extra rows, that because you do melting or fading here, then you do short rows, and then you do fading here and again. And because I didn't have so many colors to fade, I did more rows of each of the colors that I had, and even more rows than the pattern suggested. So I already had more rows going all the way around the collar. So in the 4th section of the short rows, I only did half of the last section of the short rows. But I love it, and it fits me very comfortably. I'm really happy with the end result. So that's my Comfort Fake cardie. And then I just want to show you, this is a cardigan I knitted a while. One of my first cardigans actually that I knitted, or first wearables that I knitted. It's the Quicksand by Heidi Kermeyer, and I knitted it out of Stella Fiberworks. It's a worsted yarn. I think it was also 3-ply, but it's a worsted yarn. And I didn't wear it a lot. It did get some wear. There's already some pilling, but that doesn't bother me. The color doesn't show up very well on the camera. Maybe that's a little bit more how the color looks, or the exact color. It doesn't, the pattern doesn't have anything here. You just have your she's a bit I think I will try and just adjust my camera a little bit for a while. You do the cast on here, and then you start with the increases. So and then there's nothing, you don't pick up anything or do a collar or anything for this specific pattern. And it always bothered me, because I felt cold around my neck. As I said previously, I need something around my neck. When I'm cold, I wear a cardigan, and then I want my neck to be warm as well. And it just felt uncomfortable to me. So after I've done this, the Comfort Fake cardie, I thought that, well, I can use the same concept of the short rows in the collar and do something here. One second. Sorry for the interruption. I had a dog that wanted, I closed the door for outside noises, and that's why the dog decided he wants to be outside and not inside, because I closed the door. So where was I? So I did some short rows here, not the same, exactly the same as here, but on the same, I used the same concept to do short rows here and So now I've got some height there, and up to here. Fortunately, this also had, but only three garter ridges um, just down the front. That was already there. So I added more because I thought that also there was not enough fabric here in the front for me. So I added more garter ridges to the front bands, and I think I must take it off. Maybe that will be easier. I also did some short rows here, so to give it a little bit, because the whole cardigan has an A-line design. So I continued in that with that design and did some short rows here to the bottom that got higher and higher up to about here, and then I did some one or two garter ridges again, and also did the Russian bind off. And I think I will get a lot more wear out of this cardigan now. So that is the Quicksand Cardi by Heidi Kermeyer that I just did some modifications. And I think what helps a lot is the more cardigans or sweaters or whatever that you knit. Let me just put a little bit more to the side. The more cardigans and sweaters that you knit, the more how can I say it? The more to find the correct English words, because that's not my home language. The more ideas are formed in your head of what you can do and how you can modify cardigans and sweaters to fit your personal needs and your body type. And that's something that I forget. That's what I liked a lot about this cardigan, is the A-line shape. I think that suits my body type better. So I always do some increases here in the sides of all my sweaters and cardigans. I start with one size and then I increase in the sides of the body to the next size, or sometimes I even go up 2 sizes. It will all depend on how the sweater or the cardigan fits and how the design is. So that is, I always feel that a pattern is a template, and then for you to change and to adapt to your needs and your build, because no two persons are built the same. So there's no way that a certain pattern, I believe there's no way that a certain cardigan or sweater pattern can fit everyone the same. And the more you knit sweaters and cardigans, the more you learn how to modify patterns. And it's really okay. It's okay to change patterns and to do it the way you like it, how you like to do it. You don't have to follow a pattern exactly by the letter. I promise you, there's no pattern police anywhere that I know of that will, let me just get a little bit more out of the way. No pattern police anywhere that I know of that will put you in jail because you are not following the pattern exactly that it's written. That's what I believe. And that's why I'm not good. I'm not a good pattern tester, because I always change at least a few things in a pattern um, that fits my needs and my body type, and the yarn that I've got available to me to knit the pattern with. Now that was a lot of rambling on. The next finished thing I've got is my very colorful socks. They are finished. To get them both in. And the main color was what I showed you last time, is by Luna Fibers. It's a slick sock. She calls it slick sock. It's a 4-ply 400-meter fingering, 100% merino. And then for all the contrasting colors, I used that's a Naughty Habit one. And for the toe, I also used a Naughty Habit mini. And here and for the heel flap and heel turn, I used Open Sky yarns, also mini, in the merino nylon blend. This idea comes out of the Jelly Roll socks by Orange Knits, and from time to time she has a special that if you buy 2 patterns, you get 50% discount. And I will strongly suggest buying this pattern as well as the one of her other sock patterns. I think it's called How I Roll. That gives you excellent tips on how to do a fade sock, or how to do how to blend different colors in a sock. How you can do that. It's an excellent patterns, both of these, because they've got different heels and different toes. And in the Jelly Roll socks, there's different ways of doing this arch support, if you want to call it that, that you can put in or you can leave it out. I just did a 1-by-1 color work. One thing I could have done differently is I used this the contrast color, this light purple. I used that color as my accent color, and that's the one that you carry below. Your background color is the one that's usually to the right and above, and then the accent color when you do color work is below and to your left. And I think in retrospect I should have changed that around and made my main color the one that is below, so that you can see more of it, because it's a thinner slightly thinner yarn. And this is I think it's a little bit too prominent, but it's nothing too serious. It's just something that crossed my mind that you can maybe think about a little bit more when you do socks like this. Or what you can do is change the position every row. One row have the light, in this case, for example, the light purple below and to your left, and in the next row have your main color below and to the left. Then you will have equal, at the moment this light purple is a little bit more prominent. I think if you alternate the two, then they will be equally distributed, if you can. I don't know if that's a correct way to say it. So this is a corrugated ribbing. I cast on with this pink, and then I did one row of knit 2 pull 2 in the pink, and then I did the 2 knit stitches with the variegated main color and the pull stitches with the pink. You can do it the other way around, but then you must just be, I think it's easier this way, because then you don't get that color change showing in your pull bump when you change from the pink to the variegated yarn. So if you do it this way, you immediately start with knit stitches for your variegated. What I also could have done is end with one row of knit to pull to only in the pink. That could also look very nice. So there's a lot of possibilities. And then I think, and also another thing I could have done differently is uh, I used a 2.25 millimeter for this yarn, just because it's super wash and I think it stretches quite a lot. I um, use a 2.25 millimeter. I think I should have done the cuff, the corrugated ribbing cuff, with a 2.5 millimeter. It doesn't have the same amount of stretch that a plain 2x2 ribbing would have. Here I remembered I went up to a 2.5 millimeter needle for this because it's also color work. So there's also a little bit less stretch in this part. Okay, and so there's just the slip stitch heel flap and heel turn. And as I showed you last as well, if you have 20 rows of uh, the slip stitch heel flap, 20 repeats, uh, uh, the normal standard is 16 repeats. So if you've got, say, for example, 20 repeats, that's more or less what I do. In the standard 16 repeat heel flap, you will have 12 sets of decreases for your gusset. So now you have for 20 repeats, you will have 4 decreases extra at both sides of your sock, this side and this side. Now what I do is, for the last 4 decreases, I do the extra decreases here at the bottom of the foot. If this is your foot, there's your heel turn. So I do 8 decreases here, and then the last 4 decreases I do at the same time. I do it there, like the normal pattern, and then also at the bottom of the foot. What I do is from the center underneath the foot, I do the first set of decreases is stitch 5 and 6 from the center on both sides, that side and that side. So then there's 4 sets of decreases here, and 12 sets of decreases there. And that helps when you want to do the arch support, so that you can start that earlier, because if you have to do all your decreases here in your gusset, it will go up to here, and then you start the arch support too late. So then it's on a weird part of your foot. Okay, so if there's any, as I said last time, I'm too lazy to put in a lot of show notes. So if there's anything that's not clear or something that you can't hear properly, just leave a comment and ask me whatever you or what's unclear, or if you want to know more about something, please just ask the questions in the comments. Post your question in the comments, and then everybody can see the questions and my answer. And then just one other thing. One other important thing that I finished is my Dakrofterskep that I showed you last. I think for Afrikaans speaking people, it's actually easier. I love the Scottish way of speaking, of their accent, and they also accentuate their R. And in Afrikaans, we also accentuate the R very much. So it's actually quite easy for me to say Dakrofterskep. And I think that's the way that the Scottish pronounce it. I hope so. They also I love the way that the R is really accentuated in the Scottish language, and I think it appeals to me because I'm Afrikaans, and we also accentuate our R's very much. And that is why our accent in English is different. So here's my Crafty, and I'm very happy with the result, and I think it matches my quicksand cardi quite well. I love the centerpiece here at the top of the hat. I did it in Jamieson and Smith. I showed you the yarns last time. When you're used to doing color work in superwash yarns, that glides and that's smooth, it's a little bit more difficult to do it in the non-superwash yarns. They tend to be a little bit sticky. And because I do my color work with both yarns in my right hand, it goes a little bit not so fast. It's a little bit, the process is a little bit slower, but I just enjoyed it and enjoyed the way the yarn works up. And the one thing about the non-superwash yarns like Jamieson and Smith, the color work is just so beautiful. It's so perfect. And my hat is still on the balloon that I blocked it on. And is that me? I just draw a little face on it, a happy face, because I'm so happy with my Crafty cap. I will not put it on my head because then everything will go just flat against my head. And then the last project I'm busy with, I'm already over my time limit that I decided that 30 minutes is a good length for an episode so that nobody gets too bored. So the last thing I will show you today is the sweater I'm knitting, and I can't actually say what specific pattern I'm using because this is a lot of my own adaptations again. I started with a higher neck in a 3.5 millimeter needles. I did quite a lot of ribbing. I think it's about 6 centimeter of ribbing, and I started with 98 stitches, and then did the raglan increases, and I quite like this way of the raglan increases. When I was at the Bergen Stricker Festival in 2019, I took a workshop with Julie from Julie Knits in Paris, and she showed us this raglan increase. It's a knit yarn over knit. So it's because most patterns will will let you do make one right and make one left, and if there's not plain stitches in between, it's quite difficult for me to get those make one right and make one left next to each other for them to look neat and tidy. So this is quite an easy way to do the raglan increases. I did some stripes, only 2-row stripes with 6 rows in between. And I think, yeah, the body I'm doing with 4.25 millimeter needles. As I said, I started with a 4.5, but I did like the gauge with a 4.5 millimeter, but with a 4.25 millimeter needles, I quite like it. It's a very, and it fits quite well. Hopefully next time, I'm not sure if that will happen, but hopefully before the end of the winter, I will show you, I will wear this sweater and show it to you on. Um, I decided to stop with the stripes because I didn't want it to get too busy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm continuing only with this blue, this beautiful blue color. So I'm going to do 2 color blocks, one with this blue and then one with a navy. I might add one little stripe, 2-row stripe somewhere, maybe between the 2 color blocks. I'm not sure. That's the way I've got a picture, a basic picture in my head, and then it changes while I'm knitting. So that's um, that's the process for me that I enjoy, is to not plan everything exactly beforehand, because that never works for me. I always change my plans. So this I wasn't sure if it will work, but I think it will look okay to do a white color block with this blue and then a white color block with the navy. And I think the sleeves will look exactly the same as the body. So that is where I at with this. And this is also an idea we got from Julie at that workshop, is to use these elastic um, bands that they make the bracelets with. You get them in packs with, I don't know, 50 or 100 in it. I use that to put my sleeves on hold. Why it works better than just a piece of scrap yarn is your stitches don't pull in. With the scrap yarn, it's quite difficult to get all your stitches back on the needle because they do pull in quite a lot into your knitting. But this elastic band keep them in place, so it's very easy to pick them up again. So this is my sweater out of quite a few patterns once again, and I think it will be, I haven't cut any yarns because I just wanted to make sure before I cut these two that this blue color is actually going to work. So I might continue for few rows more before I cut this yarn. So I think that's all that I can show you today, because the time is just, when I'm talking about knitting, the time is just flying by. I can just quickly show you, there's my little loom, my 30 centimeter Ashford loom. Let me quickly just, this is a nice small, oops, this is a nice small one to carry around. I've got a scarf on here, and that's just I don't know, I struggle to keep to a certain sequence of weaving, because I like to change I like to change my sequence a lot. So let me just put this down, then I can show you the yarn. It's I bought it from Be Inspired. It's their own yarn called Yarn Tails. I hope that it's not the wrong way around again, like last time. I suppose it will be. I don't know how to fix that. Turn the camera around. I'm not sure if that will work. It's Yarn Tails, and it's a lace yarn, 400 meters on 50 gram. And I'm just using they only have these 3 colors. So I held them double for the warp, and I'm also holding them double for the weft. And I started out with a little check pattern, and then I decided to do some color melting with double strand of only this mint green, and then the pink and the green, and the pink and the orange. And I don't want too much orange in, so I might end with 2 strands of the pink, and then repeat the sequence and do some check little squares in between again. I just weave as I go, or design as I go when I make scarves. I like playing around with the different um, color combinations when I weave, and it's the ideal um, project to do that on, actually, because the yarns, you can do it in knitting as well, of course, and I do a lot of marling in knitting, but it looks so much different in the weaving, and I enjoy the experimenting with the different looks in the weaving than and the way it differs from the knitting. So I think that's really enough for me for today. Uh, Thank you for watching if you're still here. And thank you. Please leave some comments if there's anything that you want to know more about, or ask some questions. I would love to try and help where I can, and answer some questions if I can. I don't know everything, of course, but I do like to explore, and I do like to find out and learn. And yeah, I think it's my passion. It's yarn, everything yarn related, crochet, knitting, weaving, and I would love to help if there's something that you want to um, explore yourself. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon.